Hey, 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 welcome to the Thriving Minds podcast with your host, Walter Parada, where we strive to provide you with empowering talks so you can live to thrive. I hope you find yourself in the right frame of mind, focusing on the things within your control. So today's episode is about processing mixed emotions. And that's actually something I was processing, and I had a friend hear me out to help me work through things.
When I hit you up, you sounded like you were kind of out of it, and I just felt like I've been there sometimes. I've been there a lot of times, but I just like in moments like this, you might find you might find the answer to whatever you're looking for, or you might be able to see your situation from a different angle when you get to listen to yourself in a way, you
Yeah,
know. And
yeah.
I don't know what it is in particular that you was going through or experiencing, but I feel like the last conversation we had, we spoke a lot about um we were kind of all over, but we weren't. I feel like one of the things I kind of got out of it is about like being able to push through like times where it seems like it's easier to lay down. Not saying you're
Yeah.
gonna quit or anything, you just needed a break, and sometimes I think it's important and we have to know when to tell ourselves, hey, I need a break from this. Because a lot of times we push ourselves and exert ourselves past our limits, and then we end up hurting people in our personal lives or at work or ourselves. So you definitely need to take a break sometimes from certain things before you end up snapping on somebody for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
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 But I just felt like maybe you wanted to pod today. Maybe today would have been a good pod to just kind of hear yourself and kind of get out what's been bothering you or whatever.
Yeah, so actually, I told you, I was helping coach high school football, right, for one of the local high schools here.
Yeah.
And Friday was our last game, and it was kind of a heartbreaker, and last game of the season, and mixed emotions. But just I was processing everything that went on through the season, like a couple players asked, "Hey, coach, you coming back?" And
Oh,
like I said, I don't know, man. Because my plan is I want to get back to Florida. I want to be close to my mom. Uh,
right.
but but what makes it difficult is like Juma. These kids are more impressive than most adults I ever met. So what's that say?
Kind of like they inspire.
I don't know. Like I feel like like when we're kids, right? I feel
Yeah.
like intuitively. Remember how we talked about trusting yourself, and I
Yeah.
think as a kid you're more willing to trust yourself, and then as you come of age you're constantly being told by others, or you getting the results, negative results, right? You're being told you can't do this, you can't do that, or whatever grade you got on the test was low or wasn't good enough, and eventually life beats you down, right? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
that's why you see kind of like a lot of adults just on autopilot, I guess is what you would say. And and these kids that I got to, or not these kids, but these young men that are turning into young men. I don't know, they were full of energy, they were willing to listen, they don't really have an ego, like they know it all. And
Yeah.
it was awesome to be a part of that. And maybe because it was the final game of the season, I was like, damn, Walter, it's over, you know. And I mean, like, I'd like to come back, but I got this business to run, you know. And those kids these young men have made a positive impact on my life, right? And it was great to be a part of a team, you know what I mean? Because like, and I told them last week was their final home game, and I said, listen, for most of you, you guys are never going to play football again in an organized way, and this is a special moment in your guys' lives because you're not going to get this type of camaraderie wherever you go. Would you agree?
Yeah. More than none. Yeah. Like I feel they might not be in that type of environment for real. They might go to the workhouse and they might have like that fake, like the Home Depot. We used to have a fake chair and stuff and a fake camaraderie, but it was bullshit. It was bullshit. I never played football, but I can only imagine it's like y'all are out there and y'all gotta have each other's back. I think that's the only thing you can really compare it to, like being warriors, you know. Outside of that, but I can't really speak on that because I never really got to play football. But I've been my brother's stepkids. Well, one of them is playing football, and it was their last game yesterday, I believe, and they had a
Uh-huh.
homecoming the Friday. So, and they like, man, I think they only scored like 2 touchdowns this whole season.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but they're like 11U or 12U, so they're still young.
Uh-huh.
They're still real
Oh,
young.
yeah.
There's a new team, and
Yeah.
none of the kids really knew each other. It was just like parents wanting to get their kids involved and kids who wanted to play who never played before. So it definitely showed me that you have to kind of build chemistry and like the coaches have to be involved, you know? Like I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to live out through kids or what it is, but like most of the like before the game, I didn't see them running any drills
Oh,
or
uh-huh.
practicing or anything. Yeah, like before the game, they would just sit down, have a talk, and then head out on the field for the game. Which to me that would strike me as that's kind of weird. I ain't gonna like try to at least run a couple drills or anything like that. Like it just
Y-
seemed like the staff there, the coaching staff they weren't really involved like they could have been or gave the kids more. But I'm not
y-
saying it's an easy job either. It's probably really tough, you know. But
No, yeah,
yeah,
you're right. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure you heard the term "coaching matters," right?
yeah,
I mean, it there needs to be like a level of organization and whatever it is, right? Leadership matters, and there's a difference between leadership and just calling the shots, right? A
yeah,
leader picks people up. They say, "Hey, how can I serve you so you can be your best self?" You know, someone who calls the shots is just like, "You just do what I say,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
right. And I don't know, Juma. It was just like that's kind of what I was going through. Like I was just trying to. So yesterday was recovering from like I barely could even watch TV. I was just dozing off, and today I was just trying to process like, damn man, I may never, or I don't want to say those words, right? Because our words are powerful, but
yeah, for sure.
that was a very unique experience. It was draining too, man. Like
Yeah,
um,
it's a lot of dedication, man. To do whatever you have to do throughout the day, and then go dedicate yourself for another 6 or 8 hours to kids. You know,
yeah,
to get them prepared for the next game, running drills and all the little things, you know, to get the guys better and the plays and the practicing and getting to know the players individually and seeing their weaknesses and developing their strengths and dealing with parents sometimes. And I ain't gonna lie,
yeah,
I don't feel it seemed like it was more drama than football going on.
yeah. Well, you know what's interesting? Maybe because I only got to work with uh, the secondary, the corners and the safeties. I had a small group. I
Okay.
didn't really have to. I really didn't have to deal with that side of it. But what was interesting, I don't know. Maybe I don't know about you, but like when you reflect on things, would you say, "Hey, man, I could have done this better. I could have done that better"? Because
Yeah.
right, and I'll just share with you. Like so Friday night there was a couple plays we let up, and I felt in my head, and I told one of the other coaches, like, "Damn, man, I didn't prepare our players enough for that." So it's always like that. Man, I could have been better for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's a
can
leader.
you?
The leadership role, like you said, you just kind of take it personal, like you could have did better, and then you become really self reflective and almost like you start talking down on yourself when you don't get the results that you want or expect.
Yeah, it's I don't know, like in a way, I gotta say I wasn't as committed to coaching, right? Because like, remember how I told you before, like everywhere I went to, I've always been the one that causes a strife, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like would you say even when we played backyard football, like I'd kind of rub people the wrong way? I mean, and be honest.
A few people, but not me because I most of the time you were standing on something that was principle, and like most of the time I agree with you with some of the stuff you're doing. It might have seemed extreme to other people in some ways, but I'm like, nah, it makes sense. It just made sense, you know. But you know, and I'm not saying that because you're my friend, dog. But for real, like sometimes when people are like minded, you're gonna see like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Even like, and I was always one person to see it from different people's perspectives, and most of, I don't know. I just think you took certain things way more serious than other people.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
you're a bit of a fanatic, I would say, but in a healthy way. It wasn't like it wasn't like you were trying to bully anybody or boss anybody around. But you'll be like, hey, like I'm trying to remember some things like specifically before I just say anything, you know.
Because I remember there was be a few times like I kind of like um you know lose my cool. You know, I'd be yelling at people, and and honestly, this past year and then some, I'd say I've developed so much more. Right? Is like it's not just what you say; it's how you say it.
Yeah, big facts, bro.
And well, I'm glad you point that out because I would struggle with this. I'm like everywhere I went, the conclusion was like, "Hey, Walter, you know what? You're the problem, but you're the problem because maybe you do take this seriously, because we want to get better." You know, I told somebody like at this last place I offered my services at, it was a lot of things boiling over, like just complete, I think below mediocrity is what I saw it as. And
Yeah,
you know, this person who kind of runs the thing, I don't know, it's just very like they don't know leadership. But they said, "Hey, what's going on? What's wrong?" I was like, "Man, you know, the way you guys are doing it is freaking unorganized." You know, I worked it was an agricultural uh company, and I told them, "Listen, man, there's a lot of like gaps that are being left out. We're not doing the simple things correct." And I eventually just told them, I want growth for myself and I want growth for everybody. So part of that is me being accountable to myself, but also accountable to other people. I want other people to experience success, and that might come off as a bit much, right?
yeah,
And then later I realized, Walter, you are the problem, but not in a bad sense. You know,
right.
maybe it's just the ambition that drives, and everybody else is just like just working there for a check. You know how we
Yeah,
talked about survival?
yeah,
So everybody else is surviving. I was continuously striving to thrive.
yeah, yeah. I get it. I hear you. I hear you. And what you said makes so much sense because sometimes people don't want the best for themselves, and you trying to push them or open their eyes to like, hey, we could do better. Is like they're not really questioning, but they already feel that they are, or maybe they don't care to do better, or they're doing their best, you know.
Yeah.
And it's sad because you know, like really, I feel like it goes back to like I think it's going to be like a reoccurring thing, like the whole you should invest money thing.
Yeah.
It's like you want to be able to tell people like, hey, we're doing things the wrong way. I feel like that's part of it. Like you need like letting people know what's wrong exactly. And then when it comes to like the people who want to do better, they're gonna want to. But for some, I just feel like for some, it's like it's survival, you know. And then you have to really get invested in those people who don't see it in themselves. And then the question then becomes: are you going to take the time to invest in this person to be better? You know.
Yeah.
But they also
Yeah.
have to take accountability. You can't do the work for them, but you can help them. You know. And I think it's so much easier nowadays for people just to like, like we were just saying, just tell people what to do
Yeah.
instead of being like, "How can I help you?" or being a true leader. You know, I'm not saying you got to hold anybody's hand, but some people need guidance and some people need motivation. Like nobody's gonna be motivated with somebody just yelling at them, barking at them what to do. You know?
Yeah, that's right. You know, like when I first started coaching, right? Honestly, like I didn't want to be a coach. I wanted to be uh, a mental conditioning resource because that's where it all starts from, right? Our self-talk dictates our behaviors, right? So if I'm always being down on myself, you think I'm going to behave in a way that is going to set me up for success, right? After I define success. And, but I understood, most people are not going to grasp the mental side of it because they can't see it, right?
Yeah.
If I tell them I'm a strength and conditioning coach, oh yeah, then oh yeah, we'll go lift weights, right? You'll see your muscles getting bigger, or
Right.
we're going to run you, and you eventually can run over long distance of time or long periods
Right.
of time. But when I first started, I was like real easy, I was like, hey man, I'm just here for whatever you guys need. And but over we built a relationship. you know some of those kids said some very like impressive things that I haven't even heard most adults say. Like, I don't know, they just made my experience very, very pleasant. And then the mixed emotion is like it's over. And like I said, trying to get back to Florida, be closer to my mom.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I just kind of feel stuck, right?
Feel
Trying
like you're
to
torn, being torn in a way, because it seems like those kids, that group of kids, they kind of like inspire you. And one thing about life is like you could go through periods and periods of feeling like just like you're in the cycle. You're just on the go, on the hamster wheel. And sometimes along the way you find like that light or that moment of like, wow, I feel something. I feel inspired. I feel motivated, you know. On the other hand, you're also motivated by being there for your mom, which is a very strong connection, a strong bond. Like, I know how much you love your mother. You know, I love your mom. I still remember her, how kind she is every time I come by. The iced tea she used to make, everything, man. Like, loving, really loving family, you know. And I get it. Like you want to be there too. You want to be able to support and help your family too, you know. So I kind of get where you at. It's like almost a fork in the road.
yeah, right, these right, it's these what do we call these, defining moment, or not defining moments, but yeah, these pivotal moments to see, hey, where you're going to take your life at, right? Because
Yeah,
honestly, like my high school football team was not, honestly, I felt like the outcast. I was always the outcast, and maybe that was me naturally, right? I was the outcast, right? With this team that I got to coach, it seemed very tight knit. Like they didn't care if you were a scrub or if you're the top guy. I mean, you got treated well, and
yeah,
that was very admirable. So yes, it's interesting what I'm gonna do next. Because I'm committed to Thriving Minds, man. I know there's a huge need for it because it's helped me. It's my thinking is part of the purpose of this was like to help that younger Walter. Like how I talked about, I wish I had like an older brother or older sister to, guide me along the way. And for most of it, it's just like you figure it out, right?
yeah, for real. Especially being the first generation here,
Yeah.
first
Uh,
generation up in the U.S. and learning how things work up here and how it is. And sometimes, like, I think shit when you have like older siblings and people who kind of been through the system or similar experiences, they can share their experiences and you can learn and grow from that. But when you don't have anybody, you know, you kind of try to find people, and sometimes there's nobody to grasp onto, and you're in the water by yourself. And
Yeah.
sometimes your arms get tired, bro. You get tired of just trying to swim and trying to find, which way is up, which way is down. After a while, it's just like, and then you're watching around, you're trying to mimic other people's success, and their success is not your success. You have to
y-
find out what works for you and who
Yeah.
you are.
You know, and you make a good point, right? Like we're spending our energy trying to stay afloat, and then other people and but other people are in a little bit better position. You know, like I kind of think of I mean, these guys have done great things and it's been their work ethic, right? But like if you look at guys like Tom Brady, he actually had four older sisters, you know, so they were kind of a resource. He obviously had a strong mom and dad. Kobe Bryant, you know, he had love and supporting parents. But you know who Joe Burrow is, the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals?
Nah, I'm not really familiar. I heard the name a couple of times though.
So, you know, he actually, in his second season with the Bengals, he led them to the Super Bowl. And in the second season at LSU, he led them to the national championship. And when you come to find out more about him, you know, he had two older brothers that were at least 8 years older than him. And he had a dad who was a high school football coach. And in one interview, they asked him, hey, what do you attribute a lot of your success to? And he says, well, I got two older brothers that played football, high school and college. They were linebackers, and then I got a dad who's coached. So he says a lot of my success has come from them pointing things out to me of what they did wrong, what they did right, and he applied it. You know, so and he obviously went through hardships too, right? But that can be quite an advantage. The information you have in applying it, right?
Hmm.
That's a purpose of Thriving Minds, right? To be that resource, even if it's not a physical one, you have like a version to revert back to, right? Like, hey, where do I get my focus to? Because honestly, like today, yeah, I was kind of in a funk, and I should have journaled. And usually I journal, you know,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
just me being lazy, and I needed to get back to, yeah, that's just a daily ritual of mine. Sometimes I'll do it in the morning, sometimes in the evening, and maybe today I was expecting to do it in the evening, and I should have done it earlier. Um,
What,
so
your
yeah,
journal?
yeah. I just do it on Thriving Minds, the electronic version,
Okay.
because I can always reference back to it. You know, because I know like months and maybe even a year later, I'm gonna look back and like, damn, Walter, you know that was a special time that you got with these young men to be a part of their journey, and it's helped me grow.
Yeah. I remember you were telling me you could go on the Driving Minds and use the journal too, and there's some things I need to probably journal. I just feel like, man, it just feels like there's never enough time, dog. And I mean
Yeah.
there is, but it just feels like there's not. Like lately, I feel like I need to be in touch with more people, like my family and like certain friends I haven't spoken to in years. Like I just talked to Fat Chris the other day. I gonna say Fat Chris, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Chris. And
Yeah.
I talked to Duran the other day, and then I have like family members I ain't talked to in a while. I keep saying I'm gonna call, and then it's like trying to study, trying to maintain, uh, like just trying to maintain, trying to find work, trying to pay bills, trying to make sure everything's running right, trying to like be a good partner to my lady. And it's just sometimes it's just a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like the mentally draining piece, right? Even though we're not physically drained, but if we're mentally drained, then that affects us physically, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
uh
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I ain't gonna lie. When you made that sound, I just felt guilty. I was like, man, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. That's why I feel so tired. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. No, but it's not just that, it's whenever we feel good, right? Like prior to you texting me, I uh I actually, had like a big breakfast. I made a homemade biscuit with sausage and egg and cheese, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna sit on the couch and watch
Oh,
football.
relax. Yeah.
So so that's the state of being content, right? And I think that's why, I don't know, maybe I might be speaking out of lines here, out of bounds, but I think that's why most people are not for personal development, because remember how you stated like, hey man, this can be a dangerous thing because like it's going to open up people to things that they're not comfortable with about themselves, right? And we rather feel good, feel happy about ourselves, and avoid some of the, some of those
The
things
growing
that,
pains. The
yeah,
growing pains, man. The gains hurt, right? I guess when you're in the gym and you tearing your muscles, it hurts, but it's like a growing pain.
you're so
Definitely a
right,
growing.
man.
But I yeah, it's dangerous because I feel like as an adult more so than when you're a kid because the kids they're innocent, man. They have a vision of what they want from themselves, and it's so pure, you know. And
Yeah,
for adults, at one point it was that way. Not saying for all adults, because there's some creators that they still live like with a childlike heart, and they just move to the sound of their own drum. But for the majority, it's like being caught in like just the rhythm of things. Going to work, waking up, brushing your teeth, putting on your shoes, hopping in your car, gassing it up, getting a cup of coffee, going to work, like bullshit or work and try to figure out, become stressed about certain situations, trying to problem solve and fix certain things and hop in your car, head home, eat, shower. And it's like repeat. It's just like a cycle. And then you realize, like, damn, this is my life now, you
yeah.
know?
It-
And when you hear like certain ideas that kind of remind you, like, hey, like I had a voice before just saying yes to everything or no or whatever, but you had a different voice. You had a different vision, and it's just like you shake up people's foundation in a way because some people are content with what they have going on because they're maintaining. It's not shaking up their world. They're not. They don't have to. They worry about bills, but they know the bills are going to get paid.
yeah,
They know they have a roof over their head. Like certain risks require those growing pains. Not everybody's willing to endure. They want the destination. They want to just get there without going through the process, going through the journey, and that's where you find the gems. I feel like within the journey and along the way, you know, and just being really thankful and showing gratitude to the universe in the process. And I feel like things kind of turn in your favor, but it's scary. When you look at people who are homeless, how do you think they got there?
yeah,
Like, you know, and some of
yeah,
these people they have big stories. I feel like a lot of those people have big stories, because I ain't gonna lie, one job site I was at, I was working with this older dude, and he was a crackhead. He was an ex crackhead. Like most of the laborers in construction, they get paid like minimum wage, and they come and they just sweep and they do like a lot of grunt work. And a lot
yeah,
of them are on drugs still, and some of them are used to be on drugs. And they have stories to tell, man. It's so interesting. You don't know if it's true or not because they used to be on drugs. But for the most part, this dude's story seemed kind of true. He just lived a crazy life. Like he talked about taking his Cadillac and driving to California, New York, uh, freaking getting kicked out from his parents' house and getting in fights with his family members and just traveling and seeing the world. And he's still allowed to talk about it. Would I want
yeah,
his life? No, I love my life. I don't want his life, but he just seemed like he lived a really interesting life. And he just was fortunate enough to kind of like maintain and have a job, have an old lady, and have some kind of roof over their head. might not be the best, but he makes, he come to work every day and he makes his little change and he makes it work for him. He's not a
Yeah.
millionaire, but I'm pretty sure his story is more interesting than a lot of people who just, go with
Yeah.
the flow of things.
But would you say that he's very, or would you say he's enjoying the journey?
I think he did. I think he enjoyed all of it. Like, because when he tells his story, it's like a light comes up in his eyes, man. And he talks so passionately and charismatically, and it made me feel like I was there. Like I could kind of see the story with him, even if it's real or not.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, some people will say some certain things and be like, "Man, this dude's full of shit." But it was a beautiful story. Like everything he was saying that he went through was like he made me feel like I was there.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
And that's a great thing you point out, is about focusing on the process. And I remember one conversation I actually had with after, like, with the team. We just lost a game where it was really lopsided. I think it was like 48-6 or something like that. And
Mhm.
like, and they the coaches said, "Hey, you want to say anything?" And I said, "You know what, guys, just focus on the process. Focus on each day, practicing, getting better, and don't focus on the results. Because when you focus on the results, when you've ever balanced on something, like if you're walking across, typically most of us don't walk on a balance beam, but something similar, right? Something where you gotta put one foot in front of the other, and you're trying to balance to, like, on a curb, right? And if you our focus should be down on the curb, where one foot goes in front of the other. But if you look straight out ahead, you're more likely to be off balance and get knocked off, right? And I was just trying to emphasize to them, like, when you focus on the process, eventually the results take care of themselves. And then that's a portion of your energy that's not focused on that. You're focused on right now, getting better, right?
Yeah, yeah, getting better right away. Everybody wants everything microwave, instant hot, right there, right there. Like they want the results now, and
Yeah.
you get like you're so right about just looking down, keeping your head down, and taking one step at a time, going one foot in front of the other. Looking ahead is like basically looking at the aspirations of everything you want to achieve. And there's nothing wrong with that. You gotta have they say you should have a 1 year, 3 year, and a 5 year plan or something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you gotta be able to look ahead. But I feel like in those moments when you feel defeated, I feel like you gotta go back to work and just keep your head down.
Yeah.
Just go back to work. Just grind. Just grind. And when you look up, I feel like you'll most of the time you're ahead. If you really just focus on like exercising yourself to new limits instead of focusing on damn shit, I just took a major L, because that alone will, I feel like, kind of set you back when you start looking at damn, I could have did this, but it's in a
Yeah.
rear view now. It's in a rear view. You got to just keep going.
Yeah, yeah. And those could be, we can look back on it and dwell on it, but we can also look back on it and learn from it. Like, hey, I missed out on this, so the next time I will be prepared for it. What's that?
Yeah,
What's that term that they say? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now, right? So,
I heard that
so if
one. Yeah.
right, would you
Yeah,
agree?
yeah, yeah. Right now is the best time, man.
I like, Nick Saban, the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, the college football team.
Yeah,
I like what he says about human nature, is that human nature is not to be great, it's to be mediocre, to just get by. And then he talks about all the great players he's had, and he says the great players who've come through here, it's because they've tasted a little bit of that success, and then they want to find out, how do I repeat that? And then they just realize that it was doing all the little things, focusing on the process, because eventually the results are going to take care of themselves, right? But
Yeah.
like you said, we're content with what we got, and being better doesn't mean you're not good enough right now, right? Growth is a beautiful thing, and like you said, it's painful, but it's necessary. I think we're going to be satisfied and fulfilled with our lives when we're constantly pursuing growth. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like when you pursue growth, you welcome stress. I feel like growth and stress kind of go hand in hand. And in order to grow, you're gonna go through stress, and it's required in order for you to grow because you you need to you need to go through certain things in life if you want to see if you want to grow. Like it's just like wanting a managerial position or um being a better player or a better spouse. You have to do some type of work, and then sometimes the stress comes before the work because you might find out you're lacking in something, and then get a review from your job or your partner, and then it's like damn, you get some people get bummed out, but part of the growth is kind of going through the stresses of, all right, what can I do better? You don't necessarily, it doesn't, I don't want to use the term stress, but it is what it is. Like you have to go out there and find the answers,
No, no.
and
Actually, that's a good point. Stress is a good thing, because would you say that most people see stress as a bad thing?
yeah, for sure.
And there's almost, like in anything, right? There's an optimal amount that's necessary, an
Yeah.
optimal amount of stress. Because like when you talked about before going to the gym, what we're doing is we're stressing our body.
Hmm.
So for the muscles to get stronger, you need to stress, your muscles. And but go ahead.
Yeah, no, like you have to stress yourself out. Like you have to be stressed in order. Like I'm learning that in my where I'm at now because I'm still learning. Because I'm not gonna lie, my work environment is chaotic. It's like there's no they should have meetings first off where all the trades come together. They have no meetings to kind of
Uh-huh.
coordinate where who's doing what. So the concrete guys, they're gonna do a pour. They're gonna do a pour before you run your pipe. If they do that, then that same concrete sidewalk has to get cut up now, and I still have to run my pipe. Then that's gonna a truck of concrete, like for them to do a pour, usually costs around 10 grand. And them guys, when they come, they're pouring. They're not stopping for anybody because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And now we have a problem because they're at the end result, they're expecting lights to be on the street lights, but they can't get that because nobody is coordinating what's going on. So it's always stressful because I might be on a certain project. They might have me up on the eighth floor and I need to be outside. And then I find out last minute that these guys are doing a pour. So I have to run, grab material, grab my guys, and I have to explain to them like what we're doing. And then there's a language barrier because uh, they don't, some of the people I work with, they only speak Spanish. So then it's
Mhm.
like I have to learn little words and I have to learn more Spanish in order to kind of communicate a little bit better. But my company isn't like seeing all of that, they're just throwing me out there in the field and expect me to be a foreman, and they're not giving me no blueprint to this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like I gotta figure it out. And it's just the stresses of, like we were saying, not having that older person or that mentor to kind of guide us. Which, as an apprentice, I'm supposed to have a mentor, and that's something I want to talk about too. And out here, like a lot of these apprenticeship programs, like don't have real mentors.
Mm.
They just it seems like from what I've been experiencing, like they just throw you out there and you got to figure it out. And I feel like 1 out of every 10 apprentices might have a good mentor, and it's
Dang.
it's and it's messed up.
Yeah. So have you discussed with your the people who
Bro.
coordinate these things?
They're
Like,
not. They're not. They're not, bro. It's blue collar. Like, come to work. Hey, man, it is what it is. Type of environment. Be a man about it. Type like a toxic ass work environment. Just
wow,
toxic. It's just toxic on all
yeah,
levels. It's just so chaotic, you know. And I hear people that agree with me and say it should be like this, and they still do nothing. And they're the leaders. They're the people that are supposed to be out there. You know,
yeah,
they're the ones who are supposed to be encouraging meetings. They're the ones, and they keep saying they don't want to do it. They don't want to hold it. Like, I don't know. It
yeah,
just makes me kind of want to maybe go to a different job site, and I don't want to feel like I'm quitting, but because my superintendent, he did give me a chance, and he gives me good reviews, you know, because he knows I go out there and I try. But it's just like the level of stress, man. I used to drink monsters like every once a day.
dang,
I was never into monsters or coffee or any of that shit, bro. Then I
yeah,
had like I ended up like having like a certain kind of rage to me after drinking some of that shit because I get irritated quick and I would snap on people and it's just like I had to lay off of that shit. Like this
yeah,
was recent too. I cut the lock on somebody's gang box because I thought they took my battery. Like the normal me would never do nothing like that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
would I would usually ask, but I just took my grinder and I cut the lock off just to find out this dude didn't even have my battery. I felt like a fucking asshole. Yeah, man. It was just like, fuck that. I think you took it. Fuck that. I'm going in your shit. And what the fuck are you gonna do? And I'm telling you, it's the monster, bro. That shit had me irritated. I was just, yeah, I was just over it. But that work environment is definitely stressful. But I feel like I've been telling myself, I feel like God is probably preparing me for something because we're all getting prepared for something, but I just feel like with responsibility, you're gonna be put in stressful situations, and you have to know how to deal with it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
But at this,
everybody wants what Elon Musk has or freaking Jay-Z or Tom Brady has, but nobody wants to go through the stress. Everybody wants to be Kobe, but nobody wants to go to the gym 4 in the morning and practice.
hey, that's such a great point because especially now with social media, right? We're seeing the snippets of just the destination, right? But we don't see all the you ever heard the term, people like the sausage, but nobody wants to see how the sausage made, right?
Right? Nope.
And there's a point where Tom Brady almost quit football at Michigan. You know, I don't know. Do most people realize that? But at the same time, like your situation that you're going through, like you said, they're throwing you out there, and there's no blueprint of like helping you. You know what I mean? Like we got to say specific actions on what needs to be done instead of not just, hey, do better. Thanks a lot. Like
Yeah.
what's better in your book?
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Goes back to that same thing. Invest your money.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And what? Cheese doodles?
For real.
And so let me ask you this. That work environment, that's going to affect you, right? It's going to affect your personality and then what you take home, right?
Yeah, so much. So freaking much, man.
While they say there's enough resources out there, right? Of like, oh yeah, you ever heard of BetterHelp?
Oh
I know
yeah,
it's
yeah,
BetterHelp,
yeah. I
right?
seen it. I seen it, yeah.
And well, what's interesting, you ever looked into how much that thing cost?
Nah, never.
It's So it's pretty expensive. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that's the thing too, like my whole purpose of Thriving Minds is, personal development resource, but it's also accessible to the masses. $5, right? $5 a month, right? For some, yeah, that can be a lot. For others, hey man, that's doable.
Yeah.
That's how much is a cup of coffee at Starbucks now,
Yeah, it is.
right?
Probably like $7, $8.
Right?
Yeah.
And then no lie, man. So I actually review my journal entries. I'll do like I try to do a weekly one, right? But for sure I do a monthly ones, and I just, search back on particular ones, and then I kind of, certain things surprise me like, damn, I said that, whether good or bad. And then I feel like that makes me a little bit more self-aware for the next time. Hey, that last time I was in a situation where I was all angry, I figured out what I did wrong and what I need to do better. Something like that.
But yeah, I feel like BetterHelp. It's been advertising. I've been seeing it everywhere. I haven't seen one of these pages that I follow that's be a man. It's usually like a toxic a message, like
Oh,
your wife's complaining, push her
uh-huh.
down the stairs or some shit like that. You know, just ignore it and drink your beer or some shit like that. And
Oh, it's uh-huh.
they've been promoting BetterHelp now. You know, I'll send you one of the memes. It's pretty funny. Their content is pretty funny.
Oh, but it's more meant to be like a joke and some sort of joke, right?
Yeah, it's basically like just telling men to be a man and just do some reckless shit and disregard
Oh,
people's feelings. Be I'll send you a couple of them. They're pretty funny. But
yeah.
they had one where they got serious and like you having an issue, you angry at somebody, go sign up with BetterHelp. I guess they're like a sponsor now or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm actually looking at it. An online session with BetterHelp is like 60 to 90 bucks a session, just online per session.
No, they got it. They got it. They can hold it.
I mean, like, would you pay that?
I don't. $60 a session. I don't even know what I'm gonna get out the session.
And like, for sure, some people really need this, right? But other
Yeah.
people, would you agree? Like, for me, I know Thriving Minds. I know I built it, but for sure, it's helped me mentally. Like, I'm more like, Walter, this is just a small moment in the grand scheme of how things are going. You know, and honestly, I wouldn't pay 60 bucks a session. Like, uh,
Hell no. They could at least did one for free. They could have did
yeah,
a free one, and then after that, all right, do like a month for free or something, or 2 weeks, like a 10 days for free or something.
yeah.
You know, but to jump out the gate and just pay $60, they better be offering more than fucking help.
And
I'm just saying, better help. The hell?
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they offer some great things, but for like most people, I mean, like we talked about today, right? Like at first I wasn't feeling it. I was thinking about maybe I'll just process things mentally, right? Watching
Yeah,
football, but I think most people would need something like what we're doing right now. It's just me and you talking. And if you don't got somebody to talk to, that's where Thriving Minds comes in, right? Where it's like, hey, damn, I got nobody to talk to. I'm just gonna write out what's on my mind.
yeah. I think
And
the
then
hardest that's the hardest part sometimes for people to journal is like really just taking out the time to do it. Especially for I ain't gonna lie, for men. I feel like for women it's easier. I think like they're more in tune with uh just writing and journaling to themselves. As
mm,
dudes, it's like we kind of put certain shit on the back burner and we'll quicker write up like a game plan or a business plan, but like journaling about trying to like process and trying to write about certain things we experience in order to like process our feelings, help us learn how to process our feelings or review certain things we did to kind of look back and kind of gauge like, okay, maybe I could have done this differently or whatever, And I don't think a lot of us take the time to do that. And I feel like now it's more of an awakening. Like people are becoming more aware, but it's like it's like a psychological warfare going on. It's like you want to be an alpha male, fuck that shit. Go to the gym, eat healthy.
yeah, yeah.
Um, you know, uh, fucking go bust your ass and join a seminar and become a man's man and buy this type of cologne and dress like this and like it's like if you're not doing that, then you're a fucking beta male or whatever. And then if you're more in tune with yourself, it's like you're the alpha male, quote unquote, is telling you you're the problem with society now. Like y'all talking about feelings too much and shit like that. But you have to have a certain emotional intelligence to deal with the things that are in front of you, the things that you deal with daily. And especially if you want to go to the next level, you have to be emotionally intelligent to deal with these things, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because somebody could say something and then you just take a fucking grinder to somebody's gang box and open the lock and then find out your battery's not in there. And then you look like a fucking dickhead.
Did you? So let me ask you: did you replace the lock?
Yeah, of course I did. After being like an asshole, I was like, yo, bro. And I told them straight. It was so funny. Everybody was telling me, like, yo, just they were telling me to basically lie to him and make up a story about why I had to cut it. But in my heart, I was like, I'm gonna just be honest and then tell him. And the
Uh-huh.
guy is such a humble dude. He was just like, yeah, man, somebody stole my drill when I first came out here. You have to lock up your things. He even offered for me to lock up my stuff in his gang box, bro. You
Damn.
know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody thought he was gonna be like super upset and like it's gonna start something and I should just lie, but I was just like, I don't see it. I
Yeah.
ain't see it. I didn't care at that point really, but afterwards I did. I felt like a jerk. So I bought him a lock. And then it's so funny, the dude that tried to help me, who I had allowed him to borrow my tool and he forgot my battery. He still had my battery and that's what happened. So he gave me a lot to put on the guy's gang box, but then he called me when I got home. I was like, yo, I need that lock tomorrow, bro. I messed up horribly. I'm such a fool. I'm such a duck. I'm just like, what happened? He's like, I'll tell you tomorrow. I'll tell you tomorrow. He works for a plumbing company and all their gang boxes use that same key for that lock that he gave me. So
Mm.
so in the gang boxes, they probably have at least like probably like $10,000, $12,000 worth of tools, you know, probably
Yeah.
more, probably more, just sitting because they had like 4 gang boxes, and that one key that he gave me for that guy's lock that or I was trying to replace opened all of those. So I had to go buy one that morning. I ran around early before work trying to get a lock, and I ended up just going to Walmart and I got him a new lock and everything. But
Uh.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just we have to be able to process certain things
Yeah.
better, and I feel like journaling definitely helps.
Would journaling have helped you in that moment, you think?
If I was doing it beforehand, yeah, because I needed probably journaling maybe have helped me realize, all right, I have a impulsive issues, which
Oh,
I know,
gotcha.
you know.
Yeah.
I get very impulsive, and I think that I can't say it stemmed from gambling. I think it was before gambling. I was already impulsive, but
Mhm.
gambling exposed it, and then those monsters and me being in a stressed out situation, because that's what
Yeah.
triggered it. Me trying to go complete a task because again, there's a lack of coordination. These guys are about to do like a pour, and I need to fucking go grind out and chip with a chipping hammer this little area out and run a fucking pipe before they do all of that. And it's like a big apartment building. We got tools spread out and our materials spread out. And it's like I just felt alone, man. Like they gave me a task to do and I felt alone. I felt like I'm doing this by myself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
I just needed what I needed at the time and then I don't know. We got
yeah. Well, to go back on that topic of like masculinity and alpha male, there's a lot of like message on what a male should be, right?
yeah,
The head of the household, or as he
protector,
says, goes, right?
provider. Yeah.
And that's kind of like back to the Stone Age, like the Neanderthal period, right? Are we still operating like animals out here where like the only the strongest survive? And
Yes.
but here's the thing, that there's a misconception about the strongest surviving, right? It's not the strongest who survive, it's the most adaptable. If we look at the dinosaurs and a cockroach, who survived?
Yeah. Shit.
I mean, look
It's
at this.
so true, man. So true. So true.
But we still think with our Neanderthal, that 10,000-year-old brain of like, I feel threatened, so I'm gonna punch or physically force my way to what I want. And you know what's interesting? You know Warren Buffett, the billionaire investor, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what's interesting? So his demeanor, he's very obviously emotionally intelligent, but he's also, intellectually intelligent. But I love what he says when they ask him if he had to choose between intelligence and being able to regulate your emotions when it comes to investing. He says, "Oh, without a doubt, it would be managing my emotions," because he says in the stock market can get it wrong. There can be a 30% drop over a couple of days or months when it has nothing to do with a certain business. And then eventually, think about it, when you see your portfolio going down by 30%, probably the initial reaction is, "Hey, I'm going to sell it right now," right?
Yeah.
You're selling it at the bottom. And
Yeah.
eventually, it recovers and then some. So if he would have done that, he would have lost out on a lot of money. But his estimated net worth is $114 billion.
Oh.
I think that comes from not being the alpha male. I think
Hmm.
that just comes from him being rational, him regulating his emotions to say, listen, he's gone through, certain rough periods in his life like everybody else. But the difference is he actually manages emotion. He won't always, emotions are not a bad thing, right? They signal to us, hey, when you're angry, Juma, that means something's wrong, right? But it's up to you to figure out what's causing it, right?
Yeah.
And
Damn
this
job.
backwards thinking of like, my way, alpha male. Great, great, you're the alpha male. And I just come to think like, is that all life is, like being the alpha male? Because why do we want to be the alpha male? It's because we want others to respect us, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
As long as you respect yourself, why does it matter? I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like my thoughts are respecting yourself is one thing and not being so much. I think the issue is a lot of people are kind of like pushovers, or they experience being looked over, or not seen as who they see themselves as, you know.
Mm,
So they want to enforce that on other people, and they want to be a force, a certain force. They want to feel like you said. They want that respect. They want to see. They want other people to see them how they see themselves.
yeah.
You know, and they overtly do certain things to garner that attention. And then I feel like sometimes it's like a saying I had: the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Oh yeah.
So if you act like a certain way and you act out loud, which to me that kind of exhibits like that's more something a trait that a female would have, or
Mm,
a child, because a child when they need something they cry,
yeah.
And I feel like for certain people, if you're looking for people to treat you a certain way, act or behave a certain way, they're gonna they it's almost like you're acting out, like you're playing this role until they start believing like I am the protector, I am this, I am that, until they get punched in the mouth. And
Yeah.
then it's like, are you that person still? Are you still a protector? Are you still like I don't know, man. It's just it's a weird cocktail of things. I feel like because this generation is really different. I'm not like looking down on anybody because I feel like everybody's experience in this life is going to be different. But there's a lot of young dudes out there. They don't even know how to change a tire.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to change, like know how to fucking pull out a motor and put it back in and have everything running. But if you get a
Yeah.
flat and you're on the road with your family, dog, like
Yeah.
it's all right if you don't know, but you should know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially as a young man, you're on the road, and it's certain things I feel like they call toxic. That's necessary, but I'm not one for the bullying. I don't believe you should bully people or try to uh enforce your will on or impose your will on other people.
Yeah.
You know, like I
Yeah.
don't think that's cool. I don't think that's cool at all. Like it's okay to take care of yourself, work out and everything. I feel like yeah, that's healthy. I don't think there's nobody should be able to take that away from you. But I feel like it should be done for the right reasons. A lot of things should be for like want to protect your family because you seen like say in certain people's family there's certain abuses that go on and you want to be able to protect the women in your family or the kids or anybody in your family from somebody from hurting them. I
Yeah.
feel like those things are natural instincts,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know. I'm not big on that whole alpha male shit. This shit pisses me off because if you have to say it, bro, then you're probably not.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I'm saying?
and here's my thoughts on is like, does it matter who's an alpha male? And you know what's interesting? Like a little bit about horse behavior. They actually have a hierarchy and ranking, and you know who usually is the alpha male
Who?
is a female. Did you know
Yeah.
that?
In most
You know,
kingdoms,
yeah.
in most animal
So
kingdoms, yeah, they run shit.
so that's kind of funny, but to go back to the point of like, if somebody sees themselves, if they respect themselves enough, hopefully or ideally, right? We don't need the respect of everybody else, but we're social creatures and we need that on some level, right? But here's the
Yeah.
thing. Do we ever come to ask ourselves, listen, if nobody respects me around here, why am I going to change myself? How about I just change my environment and move?
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's a job, whether it's a region, like say, let's say people don't respect me in Nevada. Well, then how about I move to North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not, why should we have to change who we are so somebody can value us? If we value ourselves, is that enough? Because I think that is.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Absolutely
But
right.
our constant need for like a physical thing, a trophy or money or status to say, "Hey, I'm somebody." Well, you were somebody. Did you need to do something to prove that you're worthy? Because if that's the case, then because we're just comparing ourselves to some sort of measurement.
We're just comparing ourselves to a measurement that uh, you're trying to fulfill and be something that you probably not built to be.
Yeah,
Not built to be essentially like that's not who you are. And I don't know, the saying fake it till you make it. A lot of
yeah,
people they use that and they weaponize that to get what they want. And
yeah,
they sometimes they get so far gone, they start believing, like I said, they believe they are who they think they are in their heads because they've been lying to themselves for so long until they get punched in the mouth. Not physically, but it could be a mental thing too, like something that happens in their life where it's just like, damn, a blow that they took where it makes them realize and they hit gravity, like gravity reminds them, like, hey, like you're not bigger or better than this person because you have this, and you only got this by the means of using a facade or whatever. But
yeah. No, no, it's a good point because I think we all understand, right? We have a need to belong, to be accepted by others, but we need to find out why we should even want to why should we even want to be accepted by other people? And this can be in school and at work or on a personal level, like, oh, this is my dream job and I have to have other people like me here or accept me or else it's not going to work out. And
like,
sometimes that's the reality of you
yeah,
could have your dream job, but the people around you just don't value you, and maybe
But look
maybe a
at this.
change would be great.
Yeah, I is as we're speaking, it's so crazy. Like I just had this epiphany. Like it's what you're saying is true, but even if you look at nature, like when you look at nature, everybody and even certain things want to be accepted. Like when you
Hmm.
look at the ocean, there's schools of fish. You know,
Hmm.
like everybody wants to kind of be accepted and roll within some type of ecosystem where they feel like they play a role, or a pack of wolves, or like a tribe, like, or what's the term they use for like lions? Is that a
Uh,
tribe?
a what?
Is that a tribe? A pack of lions?
Um, a pack of hyenas, or I don't know what they call lions. Um, but probably something similar. Yeah, the
Yeah, but
herd.
you get what I'm saying? Yeah, like
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
wants to be part of something, some type of ecosystem. They
yeah,
want to feel like they belong to something. I think inherently, like nobody, like some people can survive alone, but I don't feel like anybody really wants to be alone. Like even a person that seems lonely, they even have like they probably got a dog or
yeah,
something. You know,
yeah.
it's always something, or like a little mouse or something, like Michael Jackson did when he was younger. But nah,
Yeah,
for real, like I feel like everybody wants to belong, bro, or to some capacity.
yeah,
As much as they want to be outsiders, like usually a band of outsiders find other outsiders, and then they do something like out of this world sometimes, you know?
yeah. But sometimes that's needed though. That it gets us to when we feel rejected, right? There's that need to be part of the tribe, because it
Yeah.
means if we're rejected, that means less less ability to survive, right? Because there's strength in numbers. But what's
Yeah.
interesting is sometimes that pain is needed to get us to move. You know, Taylor Swift, she started writing songs because she felt left out in school.
Hmm.
She's mentioned that, like, she started, I guess that's what makes her so relatable to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Is she said, she'd hear her classmates saying, "Hey, can't wait for this party to happen this weekend," or they talked about whatever they did over the weekend, and she felt left out, you
Yeah.
know. So that was a motivator for her to start writing. Albert Einstein, the same thing, right? He felt like an outsider, and he channeled that towards the great work that he did. So, but you're right. We all do have a need, but sometimes that can be funneled in a very constructive way. So that's always something to think about.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, I constantly feel like an outsider.
Yeah. Well.
Like
Yeah.
like,
Well. Use
but
those on your own thing. Watch your own. What's the term? Watch your own drummer.
oh yeah, march into my own beat
Yeah.
or something like that. But
Yeah.
what's interesting, I was kind of like that because I knew earlier on I was a bit much. Juma, for real. Like, I can tell, like, in elementary school. I'll give you an example. So one Halloween, I asked my mom to make me a Elvis costume at like 7 or 6 years old. Yeah, for real. And I remember my mom's really good friend. What do you call the people that tailor make
Yeah. Taylor.
clothes?
I guess. Yeah. Like a Taylor. Yeah.
And I
A Taylor.
remember, yeah, I remember her vividly. Like, I was on the stand and she took all my measurements, and I had this silky white and blue with, all these I don't know if it's glitter, but it was shiny.
You was
I
fucking Elvis.
Yeah, I was Elvis. And I remember, like, there was
Yo.
actually I think they were bell bottoms, the pants, but I felt like I don't know. I just felt like I just felt so empowered in that moment. But maybe that helped me realize, like, Walter, not that that was a bad thing, but like playing football, right? You would see some of like the seriousness that would come out. And I always was conscious of that later on. Like, damn, Walter, you got to kind of tone it back because I do make people uncomfortable. And then I think I saw my role like, hey,
They're like,
Walter,
who the hell is this little kid? And
yeah.
all the adults knew who he was, when the other kids were like, the fuck? Who's this
Yeah.
kid?
That helped me realize like, damn, I'm the outsider. I just gotta, because I can be too much for people. And I think that's why I've gone from different place to different place, because I haven't found that right fit. And honestly, I think the right fit is the environment I create.
Powerful.
Yeah, but it's frustrating though, man. No lie. That's where it's frustrating, right? I don't really intend to be alone, right? And maybe that's why I got those mixed emotions, right? Because it was the final game of the season with the players, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Damn, Walter, that's it. You're outside again."
Outside, man. And it's where do you go from here? What's,
Yeah.
what's the next thing to motivate you? The next motive.
Um. Yeah. Well, like I said, I got this vision to create this platform that empowers people, because the whole purpose is, stronger together, and to know that, hey, we're not all by ourselves, right? The struggles that I might be going through, somebody else might be going through, and we can know that, hey, there are other people out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Other people out there who are like minded. It's about finding the
yeah,
herd, man. Finding our own, creating our own tribe. The people who want to be
yeah,
better, and it's sometimes the people who don't know they want to be better, but it's like they're just so engulfed in like everything that's wrong, and they just need to hear a voice or be reminded like it's a process, and what you're experiencing uh is not permanent. Everybody goes through tough times and bad times, and they get lost along the way. And sometimes you just need a voice of encouragement to kind of push you on.
you summed it up. Thank you so much, Juma, for my
I
good
think it
friend
is.
Juma Clark, for joining me and just getting his thoughts on handling mixed emotions, and why it's healthy to
Yeah,
process what you're going through, right? And especially for
yeah,
males, right? Would you agree?
yeah, man. But I think we all need to. We can do better. I know it's a lot of pressure on us as is, but I think it's important that we do better for ourselves. You know, I think it's
Yeah.
important that we want better for ourselves, and we want to. It's not always gonna about being happy, but it's about sometimes doing the work and being in a healthy place. And I don't think always being happy is healthy, because you got to deal. Life is it's about ups and downs. I know it sounds cliche, but it is. It's not, you got to deal with stress, and it's about your attitude. I met somebody at my one of my jobs, an Argentinian dude, man. He was cool as hell. Ariel, and he used to fuck up a lot, but his thing was it's about your attitude, always having a positive attitude.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
well, I did want to say one more thing about, the alpha male. It was impressive to see. So that last game, when we ended up losing by 2 points, we lost by.
Dang, just
Uh,
two? I haven't
yeah,
asked you.
yeah, yeah. It was 32-30, and it was a lot of things going on. But I saw quite a few of our players crying, and I was so impressed by them that they just let it hang out. I try to comfort them, saying, "Listen, you guys had a hard fought season," and it was impressive how they continue to respond even in the face of adversity. So, for all you men, all you males out there, know that you don't got to put up this front. Let your emotions out. You don't got to be I don't want to say a wimp, but just know that, like, hey, there's times to say, man, you just got to let it hang out, right?
Yeah, man. I love a fucking good cry. I love a
Yeah.
good cry.
Yeah.
Gotta get it out sometimes, man. Gotta get it out somewhere. I know, like a lot of dudes probably wait till they're alone in the shower or something. Like if you haven't experienced heartbreak or anything, uh, I I feel like I don't know, man. You gotta feel. You gotta. It's okay to feel. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It doesn't make you weak to feel. You know, you don't have to expose everybody to it, but you should expose yourself to yourself. You
Yeah.
get what I mean? Like, be true to yourself. You know, you gotta
Yeah.
be able to process those things, man.
That's a great way to put it. Say it again. Expose to yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like exposing yourself to yourself and
Yeah.
not trying to hide who you are, man. Hide how you feel to yourself. You know, I get it. Like you have to maintain your composure around other people. I get it, but if you can, man, just be true to yourself. You know, and expose yourself to yourself, man. Like be honest with yourself at all times.
Yeah. Great. Well said, man. Well said. So, well, thanks everybody for joining us. If you're interested in more topics like this, become a Thriving Minds member at www.thrivingminds.live.